Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Golden Buckets, and in this video, I will engage in a very interesting reflection about a basketball player that, for some reason, is very polarizing and controversial to some. Uh, some people love him, some people hate him. Russell Westbrook is one of the hardest players to gauge, probably in NBA history. There are people who rank him higher than most people believe he should be ranked, deeming him a top 4 or 5 point guard ever, when there is a subset of the NBA community that doesn't regard him even as a top 75 or a top 100 player due to the ineffectiveness of his play style in a playoff setting. So I will engage, therefore, in a reflection on Russell Westbrook, and I will provide a brief commentary about my honest perspective on him and his game. And these are something that I thought about for many years. I had some thoughts about Russell Westbrook and about the significance or lack thereof of his triple-double achievements. But I never really collected and gathered my thoughts into one video to share with the basketball community. So I will be pleased if at the end of the video you will let me know what you think. You can comment in the comment section. Let me know if you agree, disagree with my points, and where do you think Russell Westbrook should rank. Now, the disclaimer before beginning my reflection on Westbrook is that basketball to me is a team game, and the objective and the goal of this game is to win. Win games, win playoff series, win titles. This is the objective of the game. So to those who lament the fact that some of Westbrook's detractors like to point out his lack of significant playoff moments or success as something that is irrelevant due to the fact that many Hall of Famers haven't won a championship, like the Barkleys, like the Malones, like many other talented players. I would respond that we can often compare the resume, particularly in the playoffs, of players who never won the championship. But we can see that there is a stark difference among them, which lets you know who ranks higher than others. For example, you can think about a player like Karl Malone. Yes, he never won a title, but he won a lot of playoff series. He won the Western Conference twice, going therefore to two NBA Finals, where he was defeated by the Jordan's Bulls. He defeated Prime Shaq in the playoffs in back-to-back years. He beat some of the most talented teams and players of his era, whether it is Hakeem Olajuwon, whether the powerhouses that played in the Western Conference in the mid-90s. So even in a player like Karl Malone, you can therefore see that even in absence of a championship, his playoff resume is still quite substantial to rank him as one of the greats, even though he never won a title. And examining his career, we can conclude that his playstyle and is conducive to winning titles. But this isn't the case for every player who never won the title. Some players who never won the title, for some reason or another, they seem to get romanticized. Some of their biggest advocates seem to elevate them due to their poor circumstances in terms of the weak rosters around them, and therefore conclude if these players were blessed with more luck, then they would have likely won one or multiple championships. When this isn't always the case, there are situations in NBA history when a basketball player that isn't really that impactful for winning championships is indeed drafted or surrounded by weak talent around him, and but the two notions aren't mutually exclusive. We shouldn't really praise every player who never won a title just on accounts of them playing with poor rosters, because sometimes it is the specific skill set of these players which prevents the players around them to be maximized. So this is the disclaimer I want to make. Basketball it shouldn't be a very simple determination on who has how many championships and not. But we always have to look at the play styles and what the basketball player brings to the table in order to evaluate their success or failures and to better understand where this player should rank. Now, having said all of these things, when we think about Russell Westbrook, okay, and taking everything into account and understanding that basketball is a team sport, okay, and the objective of the sport is winning, not only winning championship, but maximizing the team you're in, the team situation as much as possible. This is the goal of basketball, okay? So, in my opinion, Russell Westbrook represents the biggest disconnect in NBA history between high level individual performances and individual production, whether it comes to stats, high scoring performances, high level individual games, to to its effect on the team success, in my opinion. And if we were to rank Russell Westbrook all time, let's start with the point guard position. and we focus solely on stats without taking into account context for those stats, competition faced, teammates he played with, level of greatness he exhibited, then someone on a surface level will be inclined to rate Russell Westbrook way higher than he should be, and even going to the extremes of ranking him as a top 4 point guard ever, since his statistics are greater than almost every point guard ever, whether it is Isaiah, whether it is Stockton, whether it is Kidd, Nash, and many other players who play that position. In my opinion, instead, that is a very wrong approach because it undermines the essence of basketball. Basketball is a team game, right? And I believe that the selfish pursuit of individual success at the detriment of the team, at the team's possibility of advancing, should never be rewarded. Because otherwise, if we were to draft a team or a basketball player to lead our franchise, we would simply tell him, okay, gather all the points, rebounds and assists, but do not care about winning. And if you don't win and you lose every time, even when you're favored to win, we will not hold that against you because stats are more important than everything. And I believe that this mindset is very toxic to have. So I really cannot get to terms with how people want to reward Russell Westbrook for engaging in a similar style of basketball that is not conducive to winning and reward him for that. Now, here is what I wanted to tackle, okay? The triple double, okay? So the triple double is something that has been historically elusive for basketball players. In fact, this feat was achieved by Oscar Robertson in the 1960s, and no player ever since, until Westbrook achieved that feat, was able to accomplish this unique achievement of averaging double digits across the board in points, rebounds, and assists. Few players came close: LeBron, Jason Kidd, but none of these players ever achieved a triple double in the years since Oscar Robertson retired. So, what is a triple double, and what is my perspective on it? So, a player's ability to impact multiple categories at a high level, in my opinion, is truly valuable in general terms. A player, let's say, giving you 20 points, but not being a very good rebounder or a good playmaker, will never be as impactful as a player of a similar that can give you a similar scoring production, but can impact substantially more the rebounding and playmaking departments. So on the surface level, yes, triple double are very impressive because the more productive a player is, and the more talented he is in those categories, the better it is for the team. Because if you have a great scorer and a great playmaker as a point guard, this means that you don't need to fill your roster with many talented scorers, and therefore, in theory, it will be much easier to build a unit that could triumph in a game. So definitely the ability to impact multiple categories and to be proficient at it is something that is remarkable and is something that, in my opinion, should be valued. Whether it is players in the past like LeBron, like Oscar, Jason Kidd, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, all of these players accumulated a good amount of triple doubles in their career, and this achievement of the triple double speaks to their well-roundedness in their game, their ability to do whatever it takes to win. You know, players like Larry and Magic could have averaged more triple doubles if they wanted to, because they possessed a wide array of skill sets. They could play multiple positions on the court. They could impact the games in many different ways, and this was particularly useful in clutch situations. Larry Bird is often described just as a shooter by modern day viewers who never watched him play. But Larry Bird could grab the rebound, could make the steal to win the game, or make the right pass that could lead to a basket in last-minute situations. So the more impactful and well-rounded the player it is, in general terms, the better it is. But here is where the Russell Westbrook dilemma begins. Because if we look at his production on a surface level, without examining the tape, examining the games, examining the success that he accrued as a basketball player, leading a team as the number one option, looking at simply the statistics and looking at the 30 points, 11 rebounds, almost 11 assists, we will be very impressed and seduced by those statistics. But the more you watch and examine Russell Westbrook, you realize that Westbrook is the antithesis of basketball. He's the antithesis of good well-roundedness and good team play. He's the antithesis of unselfish game like Larry and Magic had, where what was important to them was sacrificing individual dominance or individual statistics for the well-being and the success of the team. A player like Larry Bird, if there was a game where he could have averaged 60 a game due to facing a weaker defense, he likely could have sacrificed that to make the right plays and end up with 25, 12, and 10. And therefore, sacrifice stats for the well-being of the team. The same for Magic Johnson, that leveraged his playmaking and always resorted to making the right play on the basketball court. But the dilemma of Russell Westbrook is that Russell Westbrook is along with probably Will Chamberlain, even though triple doubles were not really recorded back then, like they will be later on. Russell Westbrook made the chasing of the triple double a big thing. So before Russell Westbrook, most of the players that got the triple doubles, they did it in the flow of the game. The triple double was the simple result of their well-roundedness, their ability to impact the game. But it was not an achievement that was chased by a basketball player individually to advance his career, to advance his reputation, to even win awards. The triple double was never something to be proudly chased by a basketball player. The triple double existed within the team context, and it was always secondary to winning and to making the right play, even if making the right play didn't lead to a player achieving a triple double in a given game. Russell Westbrook, in my opinion, he bastardized the game because he made the game about the individual rather than the team. And for people saying that, okay, you just said that impacting the game at a high level is something that should be valued, why don't you value Russell Westbrook's ability to get 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists? I will answer very briefly. So, Russell Westbrook, by looking at the stats, you would almost think that Russell Westbrook was an excellent scorer, an excellent rebounder, and an excellent playmaker assistman, right? Based on the high number of assists that he averaged. Usually, a player who averages 10 assists, usually these are players like a Chris Paul, a Jason Kidd, a Steve Nash. Players who average 10 assists a game are usually excellent playmakers for the most part. Players who average 10 rebounds a game are usually big men for the most part, power forwards and centers, which are the best rebounders on their teams. And players who average 30 a game or even lead the league in scoring are usually the best scorers in the game for the most part. But Russell Westbrook's isn't really, when you examine the tape, examine the game, watch the game, and understand how the game of basketball is played, you realize that Russell Westbrook isn't really amazing at none of these three things. So let's start by scoring. In my opinion, Russell Westbrook's greatest gift is that he's one of the greatest athletes in the game. He possessed a very high motor, a relentless attitude on the basketball court. So he played harder than everyone else, okay, in his OKC days when he won the MVP in 2017. But Russell Westbrook really was quite a bad scorer when examining everything. Russell Westbrook's scoring 30 game didn't come as a natural role that he played in the game. Russell Westbrook's averaging 30 came at the expense of many good things that a good team achieve, such as many players averaging more points, other players getting more easier opportunities to score, Russell Westbrook taking 30, 35 shots in a game, where he only made 12 out of those. So the scoring of Russell Westbrook isn't as valuable as it might seem on the surface level. Yes, averaging 30 is an exceptional feat to accomplish. However, Russell Westbrook averaged 30 by being an incredibly voluminous scorer that wasn't very good at it, really. Russell Westbrook sacrificed efficiency for the greater number of his scoring output. So, in my view, Russell Westbrook, who wasn't really, as an offensive player, wasn't really elite at anything in terms of scoring. He was a bad three-point shooter. In his OKC days, his jump shot was a little bit better from mid-range, but was never really great at it. And even for how exceptional he was as an athlete, Russell Westbrook as a finisher, the statistics suggest that he wasn't as good as a finisher as some of his less athletic counterparts, namely the Kyrie Irvings, the Steph Currys. For as physically dominant Westbrook was in his MVP season, his ability to finish at the rim through contact was quite below average compared to the best finishers in the league, like the Currys, the Irvings, the LeBrons, and so forth. So people who simply assess Russell Westbrook by looking at a stat sheet or by watching his highlights where he exhibits his athletic prowess, in my opinion, are not giving enough thought about how Russell Westbrook, in terms of scoring, is really fulfilling the high scoring feat by simply chucking up shots and taking inefficient shots, and therefore his ability to score 30 does not compare to the ability to get 30 by other scorers like the Lillards, the Currys, the Durains, and so forth. So Russell Westbrook, in my opinion, to play a more valuable style of basketball, he would have to, in my opinion, limit his scoring to 22, 23 a game, because what is important in basketball is to is to play to your ability. And in my opinion, Russell Westbrook, if he did not focus on stats and if he played the game the right way within the flow of the game, he will probably average 22 a game because Russell Westbrook, as I said before, he's not an amazing finisher at the rim. He's not a three-point shooter. He's a below average or up to average mid-range shooter. So given his skill sets is maximized by him averaging 18 to 23 a game, not by averaging 30 or 40 a game by taking 30 shots a game. And that's why I think that people, when people look at his triple doubles, particularly his 30-point triple doubles, such as the one that won him the MVP in 2017, they have to realize that his scoring is a detriment if you're not a good scorer to begin with. Maximizing your scoring ability with volume dilutes your production, in my opinion, rather than enhance it. So when you look at his regular season that won the MVP, I think he shot 42% from the field and below average from three. So a player like a Steve Nash or Jason Kidd, particularly Steve Nash, that only scored 18 points a game or 20 points a game, I value those 20 points a game more than I value a 30 points in which Westbrook took bad shots, relied on inefficiency, and fielded the stat sheet through volume rather than with savvy scoring ability. Now that I give you my thoughts on the scoring aspect of his triple doubles and why I believe his scoring is incredibly overrated and not really that impactful in a team settings, now I will talk about the second staple of his triple doubles, which is rebounding. Now, I want to clarify that I do believe that Russell Westbrook was probably the best rebounder for his position in the league as a point guard. I believe Russell Westbrook's relentlessness, his athletic ability, would have led to him regardless of accumulating more rebounds than most of the counterparts at his position. But in a honest opinion, do I believe that Russell Westbrook will average 10 assists or more a game without hunting or chasing stats? I do not believe so. I personally believe that Russell Westbrook will have averaged 7.8 to 8.3 assists a game, which is remarkable, if you ask me. It's something remarkable for a player his position. Um, but I do not believe that without stat chasing, Russell Westbrook averages 10 or more rebounds. I think in Washington he averaged more than 11, I think, a game. So when people want to reward Russell Westbrook for averaging a triple double, they have to understand that in terms of rebounding, Russell Westbrook does not get 10 rebounds a game for a season. Now, he could average 10 rebounds a game a few games in the regular season due to him being a way above average rebounder for his position. But his ability to get 10 plus rebounds a game comes from inflating his stats by grabbing most of the rebounds available to his team that in general terms should be taken by his teammates, like a Steven Adams, like a Carmelo Anthony when they were in OKC. And as a result, Russell Westbrook wanting to play like the center and grabbing all the rebounds is a way to boost his stat count, particularly his rebounding count, and make him seem a much more impressive basketball player than he really is in reality. And and the third aspect of the triple double, by the way, if you do not believe me, simply study and watch the games in OKC that Westbrook played. There are many accounts, even by his teammates, even by people that love him, such as Carmelo Anthony, who said that Russell Westbrook was chasing rebounds to achieve the triple doubles. And and you can see in multiple instances that Steven Adams is really abandoning the rebound so that Russell Westbrook grabs it and inflates his rebounding count. Now, I will go to the third aspect of the triple double, which is the assists and playmaking. As I stated before, playmaking, which is one of the most important skills in basketball, players who generally average 10 assists a game are usually the best playmakers in the league. Players like Tyrese Halliburton today, some of the greats of the game, the Jason Kidd, the Steve Nash, the Chris Pauls, they tend to average at least 10 rebounds a game. And Russell Westbrook, in his time in OKC, particularly when he averaged a triple-double for a season, he tended to surpass the 10-point mark of assists per season quite frequently. So his assist numbers were very high. And now, speaking about playmaking and assists, looking at assist numbers really does a disservice to what good playmaking is. Because if you watch Russell Westbrook's playmaking, it wasn't as impressive as one might think it will be by simply looking at the numbers. There's no point in Russell Westbrook's OKC career, particularly in his MVP season, where he was deemed or regarded as a top 6 playmaker in basketball. At no point. I'm not saying that Russell Westbrook was a garbage passer with a garbage vision and a garbage playmaker. I'm not saying that. But I would say that Russell Westbrook was probably a top 15 to 20 playmaker in the league. But based on the statistics, based on his ability to lead the league in assists, based on his ability to always finish top 3 or 4 in assists, people might think that he was an elite playmaker when he really wasn't. And besides that, there's a difference between accumulating assists and being a great playmaker. What's the difference? To me, playmaker includes much, much more than passing, okay? Playmaker is multiple things. Is basketball IQ, is leadership, is decision making, is making the right play, it is setting the table for your teammates to have easier scoring opportunities. And if you look at the definition of playmaking, Russell Westbrook really wasn't a great playmaker. He was not a great decision maker. He was not great at making at giving the best possible shots, at generating the best possible shots for his teammates. He wasn't the best in terms of IQ, understanding of the game, managing of the game. So the way Russell Westbrook inflated a little bit his assist counts was by passing, was by passing the ball in easier opportunities, even when it was not needed that assist. Oftentimes, for example, he will drive, there will be no one under the basket, and instead of scoring, he will pass the ball to a teammate such as Steven Adams instead of scoring himself in that possession. So, due to all of these things that I discussed, Russell Westbrook not being an elite playmaker, Russell Westbrook being a good very, very good rebounder for his size, Russell Westbrook being at best a good scorer, but never a very good or a great one, I do believe that Russell Westbrook's statistics, his 30-10-10 season, make him appear as a much better player than he really is. And that's the reason why I believe that Russell Westbrook should not have won the MVP award. At the time, when people voted him for MVP, there were a lot of discussions about um, Kevin Durant's arguably cowardly departure from OKC to join the rival Golden State. Russell Westbrook being disrespected, being left alone in OKC to lead a team deprived of a lot of talent. And I can empathize with Russell Westbrook as a human being because I do believe that Russell Westbrook's heart is in the right place. I think he's a very good man. I think he was disrespected by many people even when he joined the Lakers. So by making this audio, I do not want to take anything from Russell Westbrook as a person. I do believe that Russell Westbrook is a very solid, well-intentioned human being. What I am discussing in his audio is that I do not believe his his abuse, let's say, of the game by chasing individual records over the natural flow of the game, over the team success. Uh, I believe that that a little bit ruined the discourse around triple doubles that we see today. Triple doubles are devalued into this league not only because they might be a little bit easier to get due to a little bit of a stat inflation that occurs in this era, but also because when you have a player that made his career, made his mark in the league by chasing these records, chasing stats that whether it is scoring by increasing volume, by rebounds, by grabbing rebounds that his teammates should take, by dishing assists that are not necessary. I do believe that all of these factors a little bit contributed in bastardizing the game and the understanding of who is a great player, who is a superstar, who is not. Because now we see players who are really remarkable and achieve remarkable feats, but we devalue their achievements because we say, oh, Russell Westbrook did it before, even though Russell Westbrook achieved those feats inorganically by sacrificing the sense of teamwork by really forcing the triple double in the game. So these are my thoughts about the Russell Westbrook, his legacy, and their triple doubles. And I do believe that Russell Westbrook is a Hall of Famer. But one of the other things that I forgot to discuss to mention is that by achieving these 30 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assist seasons, such as the 2017 season, Russell Westbrook neglected so many aspects of the game that make a basketball player well-rounded, like a Magic Johnson, like many other historically great players. Russell Westbrook neglected good decision making, he neglected good basketball IQ, he neglected good team defense, he neglected good clutch ability to manage clutch situations. So Russell Westbrook really, by bastardizing the statistics in these three categories, really didn't produce a really remarkable all-around season. In fact, Russell Westbrook's defense diminished remarkably because instead of defending the other perimeter players of opposing teams, he camped himself under the basket to secure easier rebounds, to produce more stats and achieve triple doubles. So I do not think that Russell Westbrook's style of play led to much winning, even in the absence of a great teammates always in OKC. The last point I wanted to make, which is a thought I had about winning, is this. There is no justification for Russell Westbrook as an MVP, as a leader and best player in his team, surrounded by good players like Paul George, like a Carmelo Anthony, like a Steven Adams, and many others, there is no justification for him not to pass past the first round. In these years, he was in OKC by him after the departure of KD. In my opinion, there is none. There is no justification for him losing in the first round to teams that shouldn't even have the business of beating OKC with an MVP in the first round. There is zero justification for Russell Westbrook losing to Donovan Mitchell as a rookie in the Utah Jazz while being the MVP of the league and while having great teammates around him. There is zero justification. I could understand and I could accept Russell Westbrook losing to the Houston Rockets with James Harden, losing to the Golden State Warriors with KD, losing to these teams, but there is zero justification for Russell Westbrook to lose to the Utah Jazz, to lose to the Portland Trail Blazers with Damian Lillard, who at the time wasn't even regarded as a better player than Westbrook. Russell Westbrook as the MVP, with good enough pieces around him, got completely outplayed, outclassed in every single aspect of the game, in the clutchness, shot making, scoring, playmaking even. In every category that makes a basketball player great, he has been completely outclassed by Donovan Mitchell as a rookie and by Damian Lillard, who arguably didn't have a second option on their team, which was as good as Paul George. So for all of the lovers of Russell Westbrook, I don't believe that Russell Westbrook is a championship caliber player. And I'm not saying this based on the statistics. I've seen Russell Westbrook falter and fail in the playoffs, and I'm not putting expectations of winning a championship on him. What I'm doing is simply holding him to the same standard we usually hold other superstars to. And I believe that Russell Westbrook is not a winning basketball player. And most of the players who leave his team seem to flourish in other situations and circumstances. I'm not talking simply about Kevin Durant. We have seen players like Victor Oladipo play his best basketball of his career without Russell Westbrook. We've seen this countless of times with different players that they seem to flourish when they're not with Russell Westbrook. Now, I made all this video not to disparage Russell Westbrook as a human being, but in my honest assessment, I do not believe Russell Westbrook is great enough or good enough as a basketball player to warrant placing him in the top 10 point guards of all time. I cannot do that. If you ask me who are the top 10 point guards ever, in no particular order, I have Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, Oscar, Isaiah Thomas, John Stockton, Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, Bob Cousy, Gary Payton, and Chris Paul. These are my 10 greatest point guards ever. I will probably place Russell Westbrook at number 11. But I cannot put him in the same sentence of these masterful floor generals who impacted winning, who lead their teams to playoff series, sometimes as underdogs. Russell Westbrook, as a favorite in 2 playoff series, completely melted down against the Blazers and against the Utah Jazz. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. Tell me what you think, share your thoughts, like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for following.